The new season starts right here, right now. Welcome to the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup in 2025. It is time for the opening qualifying session of the season around Imola, a challenging venue and a place where it all began 33 seasons ago in 1993. In 2025, we're back here once again for what could be the final time we ever get to come here due to the Formula 1 calendar changes that are possibly happening next year. It's a circuit that runs to 4.9 kilometers, 3.05 miles, 34.4 meters of elevation change. It is some old school venue for these Porsches to tackle. Welcome to our season opening qualifying session of the season. Well, we're all getting set, we're all getting ready, the anticipation is building. The Super Cup in 2025 is here, and this is just so exciting. I cannot wait for this one to get underway. We've got new timings, we've got a lot more information for you this year, so it's going to be quite a lot of fun covering this championship, and I cannot wait to get going. We've got a queue at the end of the pit lane as drivers wait to get released onto this venue. They've had 45 minutes of practice yesterday, and right now their eyes all are to this qualifying session that is underway. So 2025 is go on JB Motorsports in terms of the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. The cars are heading out onto the circuit right now as we speak, as you can hear them in the background. And as usual, it's so exciting to see all of these drivers head out there. The Porsches, loud machines, aren't they? Loud, loud, loud. As we need to make sure we get them to an appropriate level so they're not too loud where you cannot hear me. Out there on the circuit, we find ourselves with Alessandro Giretti. He's the driver who will be looking to be in contention today. And Alessandro Giretti, the driver who is still driving for Schumacher CLRT. Exactly what happened after what we had 1 year ago. It was a great season, we have to say, from him. I think quite well. Frank Porte Ruiz out there on the circuit as well for Martinet by Alvarez. We've got two new teams to the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. More about that in a second, as I momentarily go out of shot to get my notebook, where we've got a bit of information written down regarding the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. They are making their way around the circuit. As we mentioned, new timings, left, right, centre, lovely stuff. We've got some proper information where it all fits nicely. We've got a new timer up there. We've got some new timings. I'm pointing in the wrong direction. There we go. Over there, we've got some new timings. And below us, we're going to get race control messages. If you can just see a black line that has absolutely nothing in it, that is what's happening. Cas Havercourt out there on the circuit. He was the driver who we commentated to the pole position in Monza, but had it taken away from him, if you remember, and that went Robert De Haan's way. So Cas Havercourt will be chasing redemption coming into this season, and it will be interesting to see how he's going to handle that and how he's going to approach that as well. Dirk Schuiten, a driver, a very popular driver, especially on social media. Nearly has 1 million followers on plenty of social medias as well. So he's a very famous special driver and will be bringing a lot of attention, I think, to the Porsche Super Cup 100%. And I think that's exactly the great thing. He'll be bringing the attention to this category and giving it the fans, well, he'll be giving the fans something extra to watch. Of course, he was also racing. Now, I think this is definitely worth mentioning. 1 week ago, he was racing at Spa and he was involved in a big crash with Dirk Schuiten. So great to see him out there. Great to see him out there on the circuit. He was involved in a big crash. The Porsches, loads of drivers. It was the Carrera Cup that was going on at Spa. It was supporting the World Endurance Championship, which we also streamed on this channel if you guys remember. And if you joined us through it. We had the Porsche Carrera Cup supporting the World Endurance Championship that week. Loads of these drivers. Remember, loads of these drivers are all racing in all of the Carrera Cups and all of the Porsche Cups that they are. Too many to name. But yeah, they were racing in that, and a big crash. They were very nearly like, they were 4 wide, nearly 5 wide, heading down to Blanchimont at Spa, which, you know, it's ludicrous stuff. And no one decided to back out till it was too late. Dirk shooting hard into the wall at Blanchimont. Kind of like if we look to some other series, kind of like the big crash that we had in Formula 2, we had a big crash there as well. In 2020, I remember. Then in Formula 3, Zane Maloney had a big crash there in 2022 in one of the races as well. So there's been quite a lot of big crashes at that part of the circuit, but the Porsches were all going for it in the Carrera Cup, and that's where the contact was made in that category. Right now, though, it is all eyes. All eyes right now are to this circuit and are to the Porsches. Pushing on. Across the line we go, and that is going to be Kaz Havercourt then, down towards the first corner. The driver who's part of GP Elite coming into this season, the number 24. Let's see how he's going to get on through the Tamburello. The Villeneuve chicane will be coming up in a couple of moments' time for Kaz Havercourt. Will be interesting to see how Havercourt does. As I mentioned, he's a driver who will be chasing redemption 100% after what took place last year. If you're wondering, we have loads of new drivers. Larry Tenford announced his retirement in the finale at Monza, if we remember correctly. And also Harry King is not with us this season. I've noticed the live timings are flickering a little bit. That's the Porsche Supercup systems themselves having issues. There has been loads of issues. Formula 3 had FIA were having major issues. Sky were having major issues. It's been a day of issues, and it's a day where we didn't want really any issues, but it's a day we're getting issues. Just the way the cookie crumbles. Marvin Klin has been on pole position 4 times in the Porsche Mobile 1 Supercup. That was in Budapest in 2021. He had to wait all the way till the Red Bull Ring in 2024. And then he also managed to get it then in a few rounds in a row with Budapest and Spa. He was also a pole sitter in that. Jaap van Lagen has been on pole 2 times. Hockenheim 2008. Yes, Hockenheim 2008 and Monaco 2015. So it's been a long time since Jaap van Lagen has started at the front. And Robert De Haan, of course, we mentioned he was our pole sitter from Monza due to Kaz Havercourt disqualification. But right now, we're a few months later, and we are here at Imola with Kaz Havercourt, currently possessing the fastest time. Immediately though, Robert De Haan goes quickest of all. So it's Havercourt, then it's Overhaus. Theo Overhaus goes to third, make that fourth. Guiretti finds himself moving up there. And we also find ourselves with Mathis Jalbert finding a time. So it is De Haan, Guiretti, Havercourt. To 4th position goes Flint Schuring, who is brother of Morris Schuring, of course. Off the road, I think that was... We had a car off the road. I think that was Deli Granti, I think. As Jonas Greif, also in the GP Elite colours, the number 21, also went off the road. That was to a different part of the lap. For him... Horst Felix Felbermeyer went off as well, so plenty of Porsches off immediately. It is dramatic stuff out there, as we would expect in the Super Cup. I mean, at the end of the day, it is the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup, guys. The drivers are all on attack mode, so it's De Haan who's the quickest driver right now after their first efforts. Guiretti just getting out of the way of one of his teammates who are pushing on right now. Theo Overhaus is the driver who's going quickest of all in the first sector. He's lost time in the second sector as he lets some traffic go through as well. So the lap fading away from him. A bit of gravel. We've got a lot of dust out there on the circuit. So clearly there's been some Porsches on the exit of Variante Alto who've also been experimenting somewhere and going off the road. Into the 6th position, Hu van Eindhoven has been able to improve. So great stuff from him. Robert De Haan across the line. And Robert De Haan goes quickest of all. So De Haan now has a lap time that is quicker than Kaz Havercourt, as you can see on the timings. As we make our way through, loads of lap times coming in Flint Shearing improves to third. So yes, Flint Shearing improving to third position. Matisse Jalbert goes quickest of all. So Jalbert now is 63 thousandths ahead of Robert Dehan. As we make our way through then these final few corners. Audio momentarily cutting out, but we're foot to the floor, we're to the line once again. And it's Stiak who stays in 9th position. So Yannick Stiak not being able to find an improvement that time around. More and more drivers continue to build up, to push. We now find ourselves with Matisse Jalbert, the number 16, driving for Martinet by Alvarez, driving for that team. Burton moves up to 16th, make that 17th because Dylan Yip has improved. So, Jalbert doing well, doing exactly what he needs to. Is Matisse Jalbert. Let's see whether he can put some pressure on the rest of the field to find a further improvement. He's already clear of the field by 63 thousandths, but can he take it further away? Ariel Levy is the driver in 3rd position. He's driving for GP Elite this year as well. GP Elite consisting of plenty of drivers coming into this season. And immediately you can see to the bottom of screen we've got car number 20 that is under investigation. That is Francesco Braschi. Jalbert coming up to the line. Can he improve his time further? No, he misses out. He's dropped down to 3rd because Dehan has gone quickest. Klin has improved to 2nd place. He's now part of Lechner Racing, of course. So some interesting pushes coming in from the field as they continue to make their way through. Francesco Braschi found himself slightly wide. Sebastian Framett was also wide as well. That was through Piratella on the exit. Marvin Klin in the Lechner colours. Well, he's not really consisting of the Lechner colours, but he is driving for Lechner Racing. So we've only got one Lechner Racing proper car, to be fair, in terms of the livery, Robert Dehan. Now, the Super Cup, as you can see right now, the timer was absolutely flying by. These are Super Cup issues, by the way, not mine. Not mine. They are Super Cup issues. They're going to try and get it fixed. They're going to try and get it fixed, but these timings are accelerating, and then they're not being able to keep up, let's just say. So there's a couple of issues going on. That will get fixed hopefully soon as well. But yeah, it's back up to speed hopefully now. Aldo Festante making his way up the hill. Let's hear from Theo Overhouse.
We need a proper lap in. We need a proper lap in.
You do indeed. Theo Overhouse, the driver in 16th. Marvin Klin goes quickest of all. So, Overhouse being told on the radio that we need a lap. He's 1 second off the pace at the moment. Keegan Masters improves to 6th. So that's Keegan Masters finding the improvement. We've had Marvin Klin noted for failing to follow race director's instruction, which you can see to the bottom of screen. Tauscher to P6. Overhouse found the improvement for 7th. We heard on the radio that he needed to find a lap. That's a brilliant lap time. He's pushing on once again. He doesn't want to be satisfied with 7th. No driver will. It's still early on in the season. They'll want to push on hard. Push on to the top of the table. This is exciting stuff in the Super Cup. The Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. And it is oh, it's off the road. Theo Overhouse running wide, and he's going to lose that lap time completely, but that's a mistake coming on as we were watching him. Overhouse continues to push on, but a big mistake when he didn't need it. 26 seconds on the clock to go. Let's take a look at a replay. Overhouse locking up, and that will be a trip straight through the gravel trap at Piratella. Lucky to get away with that one to some degree in the way that he did. But Theo Overhouse pushing on. Aaron Mason, He had to cut across the Variante outer chicane as well. So that also happened at the moment. So Aaron Mason having to push on hard as we make our way through. And make our way all the way down to the end of the lap as well. Apologies that the timings have momentarily stopped. They will come back into gear hopefully in a couple of seconds. We were just sorting out some issues momentarily with this to try and get it back to perfection how we want it here in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. But it is going to be really interesting to see what's going to happen after this now. So we have Klin is quickest of all, Dehan is in second, then it's Ariel Levy in third position, Jalbert's in fourth, Giretti's in fifth, Tauscher, Overhouse, Masters, Schuring and Cass Havacor completes our top 10 at this stage of the session. So Klin in the pit lane, the Lechner Racing driver, loads of cars coming across the line. Let's hear from Klin on the radio.
Good job, Marvin. Yesterday this was a reprimand what you did me, so it could be a reprimand. So focus, stay focused.
They know that they're under investigation. They know that they're in trouble to some degree. It's not all happy faces. It may be the quickest time, but it's still not all joyful. It's still not all joyful. The Ferrari fans sitting in the garage, hoping for something special in Formula 1. But in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup, it's great that no matter who you support in Formula 1, they all come out here. They support any driver in this field. Of course, that might be by nationality, or it just be pick a favourite and support them type thing. So many different possibilities. Okay, well, we are currently making our way through 15 minutes and 15 seconds to go in this Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup session. It is time to get an interview. The project manager of the Porsche Super Cup told us a little bit about the category.
Only the start of the European Formula 1 season. Imola is also the start of our season in the Super Cup, and we're always very happy to be able to come back here, because in fact this place is where we started the championship in 1993. On top of it, Imola is one of the most iconic circuits and the most iconic Grand Prix that are also, I would say, in the global motorsport calendar. And for us of the Super Cup to be part of that, same as we are with 7 more iconic European Grand Prix this year, is something that makes us feel very proud.
Great to hear from Ollie Schwab as well, the project manager, as I mentioned, of the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. Fantastic to get his opinions, get his thoughts on this. And yes, it is special. I mean, 33 years. Season 33. Just look how long we've been in support of the Formula 1 World Championship. There's brilliant action, which, you know, I mean, while I'd say, I'll be honest with you, I'll be honest, it doesn't really have the most attention when it comes to off the circuit. I don't feel like it's promoted enough in terms of, it's not by TV broadcasters to some degree, which is why we're making sure that we're giving you this qualifying, considering in the UK this is not available to you. But yeah, it's not really, I'd say it's a great series, but I feel like F1 TV Sky Sports needs to do a bit more of a better job of advertising it, because it's a great series. But however, here's the thing, when you head to the circuit, top tier. It's the loudest thing you hear on the weekend. Not F1, not F2, not F3. It's the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. That's the loudest thing that you'll get to hear. And watching it, even if they aren't really overtaking, even if they're just having a bit of a procession race, we're just sitting in behind each other, still, the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup is just so exciting to watch at the circuit. Just watch them go round and hear the engine noise. As we mentioned, louder than F1, which is how loud these things are. And it is a great thing to watch from what I've heard around the circuit. It's great to be able to hear these engines and the atmosphere, and to see the Porsches. It's quite great. And of course, they're not going Silverstone this year. We're having a return to Spain after 5 years, so that's an exciting news. But I've heard lots of people now with the Silverstone. If you haven't heard, the reason, well, of course, the Super Cup heading to Spain. There isn't really a specific reason. I think there's just a gap open at Silverstone. So British F4 have taken it for a standalone event, a special race, basically no points, none of that. But of course, they had a gap to fill. They've given it to British F4. The Super Cup going to Spain, which, you know, we do have a Spanish team now with Hideka Racing, as the camera is getting destroyed to some degree. Oh my word, getting hit by the Porsches! Not what you want. Oh god. The Porsche's damaging our cameras, damaging our ears. As you can clearly tell as well. Cameras aren't really living, are they? Okay, what I was about to say before we had that, British F4 have taken that spot. Now, British F4 is a great series. If you're into it, you're gonna love it. You're excited to be at the British Grand Prix watching that. But I don't think people mind it from a TV perspective. But when you're out there on the circuit, I think with F1, F2, F3, the single seaters you have already, I don't think British F4 is an upgrade to the Porsche Supercup in terms of like, you know, the Supercup is just something different on the F1 weekend, which everyone just loved watching. The British F4 kind of falls in the single seater kind of thing. And it's the complete opposite with British F4 when they're racing. They're supporting the British Touring Car Championship, and that is not, and they're the only single seaters that are there that weekend. So it's really, really weird how it works, but yeah, it's like the British F4, they're the only single seaters. On the F1 weekend, the Porsches are the really only like proper, you know, like proper cars, not single seaters. So it's always nice to have that little crossover. British F4 now join F1, F2, F3. But it's also a special thing, I think, in my opinion, to have F1, F2, F3, and F4 on the same weekend. And of course, we get to see Thomas Behrman and Ollie Behrman all racing on the same weekend together as well. It's special, it's exciting. But we have 10 minutes and 34 seconds on the clock to go in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. And it is the qualifying session. Sam Shaheen heading out there, along with Diego Bertinelli, Horst Felix Felbermeyer also out there onto the circuit as well. It's that time. It's that time of the session to now start seeing them head back out there and push around this circuit. So, Klin, Jihan and Ariel Levy, as we mentioned. That's our top three in this qualifying session. It's the opening qualifying session of the season in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. We'll be bringing you live coverage, though, of the race tomorrow. So that's going to be exciting. Myself and Tom Cairns are really excited to be able to bring you that. It's going to be quite a lot of fun to see how these drivers handle race conditions. So, let's get going with this then, as we make our way through. Audio momentarily cutting out. We got a bit of debris on the run towards Acriminarali, I've just noticed. Race control, I'll be honest, haven't been good with dealing with debris and stuff on this weekend. Stuff has just been left. I mean, what happened in F3 earlier? The safety car out of nowhere, a car being left on the circuit like that and not being, in my opinion, should have been a red flagged immediately. They like, imagine if that was a bigger crash. Okay, now the car was out of the way. But had it been like a bit more bigger, we just let them run around front of the lap? Don't think that's how it should work. Should be a red flag if your timings aren't working and you can't inform the drivers that there's a safety car, because they got there and they only saw the yellow flags waving and stuff, and I'd assume the safety car board's out, and the safety car turned into virtual safety car, which all of those were issues. Now this whole situation was due to issues anyway, but that's why you just deploy the red flag. You deploy the red flag immediately to get those sorted. You need to be waving the red flags around the final corner. I mean, that happened before Toza. So you've got enough time to start waving the red flag around the entire circuit. So, yeah, I wasn't quite happy with that decision, I'll be honest. Okay, 8 minutes to go in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. This is qualifying from our season opener. Okay, then. We are ticking down and getting ready for our final runs in this session. But before we do so, one of our contenders is Francesco Braschi, and we can hear from him now.
The best part on Imola, it's Variante Alta, because it's really technical and you need to nail it to the entry to go really good on exit. So this year I want to see my flag and my name high in the grid. The season open in Italy, so I'm really happy, and forza ragazzi, keep pushing.
He's really excited. We're watching him in our picture right now. He's gonna be enjoying going to Variante Alta then. through the sausage curves, which I can't let another broadcast go without mentioning that. As that's become a common theme here at JBMotorsports. Okay, Tamburello chicane coming up. And Tamburello chicane coming up for Francesco Braschi through turn number 1. And 2, 3. Well, turn 1 is of course that kink, but it's the first proper turn of the circuit. He's out wide. That was a graphic error, rather. Sorry. So it's Alessandro Guiretti we're watching. I was surprised for a second. I should have trusted myself there, because I could see a Schumacher CLRT from the onboard. It wasn't a proper shot. It wasn't a wide shot. So I could only see like the front of the car, which has zero information. It's not going to tell me anything. And this is the first proper time where I'm actually seeing these cars push out on the circuit. So it's, you know, you can get tricked sometimes when the graphics aren't wrong. When the graphics are wrong. So there wasn't Francesco Braschi. It was Alessandro Guiretti who's pushing on. Through Acqua Minerale. Oh, he's nearly dipped it into the gravel. That's how close. That's how much he's pushing. He's going quickest of all, though, in the middle part of the lap. But due to the first sector being 3/10 down, that won't help him. Over the sausage curve. To Variante Alta. He's 3/10 off the pace. To Marvin Klin, who's the quickest driver overall right now. Here we go, then. Let's see what Guiretti can manage. What time can he find? Alessandro Guiretti, who's been a driver who is looking for a maiden pole position in the Porsche Mobil 1 Supercup. He can't get there. He is missing out at this stage. He's in 5th. Has got the 5th fastest time. Is Marvin Klin heading to a 5th pole position? Is Jaap van Logen heading to a 3rd? Is Robert De Haan heading to a 2nd? Or is someone else heading to their 1st? 5 minutes to work it all out. Let's take a look at a replay. This is the final few corners on this circuit. Alessandro Guiretti all out of shape, arriving down through the Ravazza 2 and kicking up the dust, kicking up the gravel on the exit, running super wide. That's not what you want. Not what you want at this stage of the contest. And Disfewed back, also out there as well. He's in 27th position. Also, don't you just love how I know every single name now? I know every single name, how to pronounce every single thing. Aaron Mason off as well, the number 15. Really feel confident. And yeah, I mean, we're going to be more confident for the race because I've actually had a session before the race, which we haven't had in the previous 2 years. But still, this is the first session, so the struggle should come in this session. But this session isn't too much of a struggle. Anyway, Anders Fjord back. We take a look at a replay. This was him off also on. This was him off also through the Variante Alta chicane. So we had 2 moments where he went off, and we were also taking a look at a moment where Robert De Haan went off as well. So a couple of moments. Look, here's the thing. Form pick one driver. That driver's made about 2 mistakes on that lap usually, and then we have to catch up with what the rest of the field have been doing if they're all making 2 each. And it doesn't even have to be mistakes. It's just running wide and just little stuff, even if it's a gain. So, 3 minutes and 34 seconds to go on the clock. Flint Turing improved to 2nd. Cas Havercourt's improving on Marvin Klin's time. Here's Jalbert. Under 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go. What can Jalbert do as he brings it up to the gears, up to the line? Can Jalbert go quickest of all? No, he goes to 3rd. He's missed out by 63 thousandths of a second. Yannick Stiak will be coming up to the line as well. He's the driver in 5th right now. Up through the gears he goes. The line is coming up for him. Klin is the driver to be at this stage. Stiak stays in 5th. Cas Havercourt was on a good lap. Cas Havercourt's got the quickest time by 24 thousandths and immediately beaten by Ariel Levy. Ariel Levy by 0.2 of a second is now the provisional pole sitter in this session. Will Marvin Klin be able to find a lap time to respond? They're all still pushing on. Opportunities are running out in this Porsche Mobil 1 Supercup session. As it stands, Ariel Levy is going to be on his way for a maiden pole in the Supercup. Oh, Ariel Levy's off! Ariel Levy's off! And he's destroyed the brake marker board as well. Our pole sitter, currently as it stands, off But continuing on, Overhouse to 6th. Teo Overhouse improves to 6th. Robert Dehan improves to 5th. Lap times coming in thick and fast, but not enough right now to displace Ariel Levy, who's got a good gap. Giretti finds himself to 7th. So, we're watching on with Teo Overhouse. Down through the Villeneuve chicane. Watching these Porsches go round a special 0.2 of a second. Teo Overhouse is improving by. Can he keep that lap time up through the rest of the lap? It's a 1 minute 42.742 that he is currently improving on by 0.2. Ariel Levy leading a GP Elite 1 and 2. Alexander Tauscher improves to 4th. Teo Overhouse is the driver that we picked to ride on board with because he is on a mega lap. He is absolutely flying. Teo Overhouse doing absolutely brilliantly at this stage. More lap times coming in. Hoove Van Eindhoven goes to 12th. Teo Overhouse going even quicker still. It's the fastest sector to the first. Fastest sector to the second. He's trying to extract everything around this circuit right now. Few more corners to go on this lap. This looks like a brilliant lap being set by Teo Overhouse. Overhouse trying to get to a maiden pole position in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. We've ridden on board with Teo Overhouse for this lap. It's looked special. Now it's time to get a lap time on the board. Teo Overhouse trying to get to a maiden pole in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup, and he's got it by 32 thousandths of a second. He lost time at the end, but the lap time was enough. The first and second sector where he set purple in both of them was enough to get him to the fastest time. Can Jalbert do anything about it? He's over the curbs. He's improving to the first sector, not in the second though, and he's making his way down to the Ravazzas now. It's Overhouse, Levy, Havercourt our top 3. Keep an eye on Tauscher. He's been a driver who's been in the mix. Tauscher has been a driver going to 4th, a driver going to 5th constantly. Can he find something special at the end? The checkered flag is flying at the end of the opening qualifying session of the season. Jalbert, where does this lap time take him? The answer is no improvement to 8th. Alexander Tauscher across the line. In a couple of moments, there he is. Can he find the improvement that he needs? No. Tauscher will maintain his 5th spot. We're not seeing improvements. It's all fading away at the end for the drivers. Is there anyone who can deny Teo Overhouse, who's right now at the front of the field? More lap times coming to a close. Who is finding the improvement? Teo Overhouse still pushing on, we believe. Well, he doesn't need to be because he's the quickest driver. And that is going to be pole position secured for Teo Overhouse, the driver who was saying on the radio to his team. His team were telling him on the radio that you needed to find an improvement, and he found an improvement. Jaap van Lagen is in 15th. Can he do anything special at the end? Let's find out. Through the Ravazzas, foot to the floor. Line coming up in a few moments. The checkered flag is awaiting him. Jaap van Lagen across the line, and he gets to 12th. He gets to the 12th, cannot break into the top 10. My word, Porsche Supercup at its absolute finest. Teo Overhouse after, let's hear from him.
That's pole, my friend. That's pole. Pole position. Pole position. Yes! Yes! Yes, boys! You're kidding me, right? Yes!
It's honestly so good to see drivers so happy after that pole position, and he's deserved it. On the radio, himself and the team were saying that they needed a lap. They were miles off. They were absolutely miles off the pace. Now, though, they were able to get themselves into contention, into 4th, into 5th, and then, right at the end, fastest in the first, fastest in the second, 0.2 improvement, lost time at the end, but it was still good enough to beat Ariel Levy to a pole position. Brilliant stuff from Teo Overhouse, who takes his maiden pole in the Super Cup. And you can see the celebrations that go on for the team after their man has done the job. He's done it. And now attention will turn to tomorrow to see whether he can try and replicate that. To see whether Teo Overhouse can try replicate that in the race. Ariel Levy will be alongside Havercourt and Clint, who's under investigation still, we have to remember. Also going to be in contention. The celebrations, the party atmosphere beginning. Completely deserved for Teo Overhouse. Great to see Team GP Elite up there as well. But the day belonging to Proton Huber competition and Teo Overhouse, who was with Lechner Racing 1 year ago, had glimpses of great performances. Not as great as this though. Not as great as this. Well, that brings the end to the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup from Imola. We're going to confirm our full results in a moment's time. That was a great way to start the season, I think. Quite a good way to start the season. Lots of chaos, lots of action. It's been the start that the Super Cup needed. A high energy qualifying session. And that's exactly what we wanted after a couple of years, I'll be honest, in terms of a bit of domination. But now we've got a field where it's unpredictable, where no one knows who's going to take pole. Last year it was Larry Tenfordo at this point dominating qualifying. It wasn't a contest. Dominating the race. It's not a contest. Now it's competitive. Now it's hundreds. Now it's thousands. It's Formula 3 level of stuff going on here in terms of how close it is. I cannot wait for the season to begin tomorrow. And it'll be double. I mean, it will be even better because we'll be live. We'll have Tom Cairns alongside. It'll be a proper usual broadcast. This has of course been a little bit different on a delayed coverage, which is the only thing we have possible right now. But great to see the Tifosi, the fans, all watching on. Let's run you through the results then in the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup. Teo Overhouse ends on pole position by 32 hundredths of a second. 32 thousandths of a second. Cass Havercourt's in third. Marvin Clint's in fourth. Alexander Tausch is in fifth. Flint Turing in sixth. Robert Dehan in seventh. Matisse Jabert is in the 8th position. Alessandro Giretti is in 9th. And then we have Yannis Diak. Then it's Keegan Martins, Jaap van Lagen, Hugo van Denenhoven, Aldo Fastante, Mikel Ascona, Pietro Deliguranti, then Dirk Schutten, Bertinelli, Borokamps, and Francesco Braschi, who's in 20th. Then it's Gus Burton, Sebastian Freeman, Frank Porte Ruiz in 23rd, Dylan Yip, Anders Fjordbach, Felbermeyer, Greif, Shahin, Imperato, Francesco Maria Fenici is in 30th, and the 31st driver, lots of issues throughout the session, was Aaron Mason. Well, that is going to bring the end to the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup from qualifying day here on Saturday. Tomorrow will be the season opener on Sunday. Teo Overhouse versus Ariel Levy down towards the Tamburello chicane. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. We will see you there when the Porsche Mobile 1 Super Cup returns for its opening race of the season.